Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just getting all my stuff organized here while I get this going. Got to post today's reference material. Spent the morning in meetings, gym, and then meetings, and I'm running a little bit behind on everything. So it's going to be a quiet start to the stream here while I get my stuff organized, and then we're going to get right into doing today's daily study. The 28th. It's going to be a weird one today. This is going to be the reference image. Let's scale this up. Take a look at it big. I like them 300 DPI. 5.4 looks like. All right. Don't crash on me now, Photoshop. There we go. Off to a good start. And now I've got 3 more pieces that I'm going to be bringing up on for today's reference over on the Today is the Day board. Ooh, I'm getting tea. Thank you. I tried to bring it up, and there is, I think PNG files try to open Affinity Photo automatically on my computer right now. So Affinity Photo is slowly loading and wasting my time. I got to make sure, yeah. So we got a Leyendecker piece in here. I added a couple Leyendecker pieces to the pile for the masterwork studies. I think stylistically, I think I keep having him in mind when I'm thinking about the ways in which I wish I was stylizing my stuff a little more. So, yeah, I wanted to throw some Leyendecker in the mix. Love him. And then with the conversation we had last week, I was talking with Jazz a little bit about, hey, you should just do the portrait pieces, but you should stylize them like anime instead of studying from other anime artists. I'm thinking that would make things a little easier on the whole reference track thing. I wonder if instead of always doing photo studies, like maybe I just bring it down to 2 images where it's like just a figurative and an environmental track, right? And then the figurative stuff could be a master study or a photo, and then the environmental thing, same situation. And so I just get it down to 2 reference images to pick from each day. And then, it's a little easier on making a choice. Oh, shit, I just realized I uploaded the wrong... I re-uploaded the anime one wrong. Let's see, can I do this? Will it let me to upload a new one? About to find out. I'm not sure you can I don't think you can edit and swap out a different image, so I gotta add it a separate post. Go me. All right. Publish. And then I got a Yoshiyuki Sadamoto Asuka painting here. Very cool. This is what got me. This is the kind of stuff that got me into art when I was first getting into art. Was this kind of stuff. That really cool painty finish, but also very anime, and a cool weird skinny mecha guy. This is a lot of my interests all in one image, and so this got me going. Jake has also been pushing an idea recently that I really like, where in addition to doing the photo studies, I was talking about how, hey, we should have a solution for being able to do imaginative stuff. And the idea he came to me with is that in addition to the the photos for studying that he's been cooking up a handful of mood boards, and that we could have a daily mood board where the mood board would give you like a little bit of a starting point to be able to make your own image from scratch using these pieces. So it's kind of like a MasterChef style thing where we hand you some ingredients and then you cook us up a dish. It's an interesting idea. It's something I think we're going to try out later this week. But he's cooked up a quick batch of these, and Jake, I can see here in the chat. Thank you so much. And we're going to circle back on this maybe tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday, and maybe give it a try and see if anybody wants to do it and see how it goes for everyone. And I guess in the spirit of Huckleberry, I kind of also need to do it along with everybody. So I'm part of the thing that's slowing me down here is that I would need to do imaginative work on stream with like a prompt. And I'm doing that kind of stuff live is tough. So I imagine I'm going to struggle with it. And that's keeping me from like leaping directly at this thing. But we'll give it a try. And I definitely want to let everybody else give it a shot. So let's see. Am I all set up here to be able to do my own thing? Is there any other front matter for the thing? I'm going to make sure my OBS is looking swag. There we go. My guy's animating. He's not in the way. I've got the overlays all working. And I want to give a little bit of a shout out to Shankarian and to Vane and to Burke EDS. I don't know if you guys got the shout out back on Friday during the community stream when you were subbing, but all three of them gave pretty sweet tier 1 subs. And so now I just need to arrange my windows over here, and then I think I'm ready to go. Oh! It's one of those days. Oh, I gotta share. I'm gonna share my camera, my virtual camera here on Discord, and then I got the text chat up, and then bring the OBS on top so I can see the stream chat. Oh my God, I'm set. Here we go. And then Anya brought me some tea. How's it going, you guys? Anyone in here hanging out, chit chatting?
Hey.
Hey.
What's up?
How do you pronounce your name? Musoka?
Yeah.
Musoka? Nice. All right. Now we're rolling. I took the weekend off. And got a little side work done. Got a little Armored Core 6 in. I beat that boss that is killing everybody at the end of chapter 1.
Wait, which one is that?
That one at the end of chapter 1, that guy that has the ring of missiles or whatever.
Oh my God, yeah.
That dude's the noob crusher, and so I put in a lot of attempts against him, and like I was getting better at like the fundamentals on the game, and then I realized, hey, this isn't Sekiro, this isn't Dark Souls, this is like this is Armored Core, right. And that like it might not be that like I am fucking up because I am bad at the game, because I am bad at the game. I was getting better, but also I could probably make a better build. And
that is exactly what happened to me.
And like I was like, okay, I wonder if there's different damage types in this game, because they don't make anything explicit because it's a From Software game, right? Yeah. So I went in the menus and I expanded the menus so you get like all those extra things that pop up. And I was like, is there anything in here that says energy damage versus kinetic damage? Because like in Dark Souls they have like, oh, this weapon does this many points of fire damage, this many points of magic damage, whatever, right?
Yep.
And so you go in there and they don't have anything that looks like that.
Yeah, but it actually is there.
But it actually is there because it's those little icons in the corner.
Yeah.
And the little icons actually indicate different damage types. And of course, shields take a different damage type, are like vulnerable to different damage types. And of course, there's no tooltip. I got tooltips about like reloading in combat and shit. And I was like, I don't think that's the problem, guys.
Yeah.
And but it was there, but it was hiding. I knew it was hiding just under the surface, so I shamefully watched some YouTube videos,
Yep.
and
Me
I
too.
found out about different damage type, and then I went and I changed my loadout, and I started just like melting through his shields.
I had the exact same experience with that boss,
Yeah,
and it took me 4 hours to finally cave in and look up a video.
yeah, and
Yeah.
the masculine urge to never ask for where things
Yeah.
are in Home Depot.
Yeah.
So that was my experience over the weekend, and then once I got that cleared, I was like, I relinquished the television to the rest of the family, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to digging deeper because like I know like there's a lot of like different build strategies and a lot of customization in that game, and like that makes it way different from the other games, other From games, and I'm excited to see more of that because they don't really hit you over the head with it too bad right up front.
Yeah. What build were you thinking about doing?
It was the bubble guns, double bubble guns to melt the
Yeah,
shields, and then
that's
I
what I
did
did.
double shoulder laser cannons for like the main DPS.
I did the exact same
Oh,
thing.
okay. And I had to go to the four-legged build. I had to go to a quadruped in order to get enough
Oh,
load to be able to, because I couldn't figure out how to like get the EN load that I needed with a smaller engine. And if I bought the largest like EN capacity engine, it was too heavy, and so I needed different legs to carry it. And so I ended up with a quadruped. It was just out of reach for like the legs that I had.
mhm.
Um, and I wondered if there was maybe if I'd moved around some other parts, if I could have gotten it on a biped by like having the EN load, but it be like different because I knew I needed those weapons based off the videos I was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Fajodo.
I wanna go back at some point and beat it with the build that I wanna do. I'm
Yeah,
still too stubborn about it.
I I like I liked going back and replaying the missions because they're so bite
Mhm.
sized, and because
Yep.
like once I started like customizing my guy more, I really wanted to like go in and try fighting differently against these different little like oh I wanted to try fighting these the different fights like in a different style. So it was like fun to go back and replay the mission. So I didn't even feel like I was having to grind for money just because I was going back and finding like battle logs. Which
Yeah.
I don't even think that they told me those existed.
No.
Or like what that meant. I had to like figure out what they meant like contextually.
Mhm.
I don't know, it's typical From nonsense, right?
Yeah.
Double shotgun, Addict Art is saying. That's bold. I thought the shotgun would be really good once I got the shields down. I thought it was pretty weak actually for like, so I didn't I backed away from the shotgun build pretty fast. Double
Those
shotgun and rush
laser
your
cannons
enemies
are
until
sick.
you smell the mark of his oil. It's yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give the shotgun another go because I mean, there's probably a lot of really different fun ways of playing. I really like that starting laser sword. That the pulse sword is really fucking good, and like
Yeah.
once you kind of get a feel for like its range and stuff, it feels really good to use.
Mhm.
What kind of build are you going for?
Uh, I'm doing like full speed with the two laser cannons on the back and two huge snipers.
You
It's
doing
so fun.
the backwards legs?
Um, I forget which ones those ones are.
Those are the ones that like help you. Those are like the mobility focused ones. They're like lower capacity weight, but and they like lower AP, but they give you better jumping ability.
Oh, no, I was using those, but I found faster ones. I'm like, I think I'm like somewhere in chapter three.
Mm.
Yeah. It's so much damage, but you get one shot almost by everything.
I mean, it's a From game. Like you're supposed to get good enough where getting hits not a thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, that get good mentality, it really got me. I mean, I don't get too like I'm used to just like getting stuck on an early boss in these games,
Hmm.
but I just like I got the sense that I was missing something.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going back to some old habits here. I'm wondering if we got a really complex figure, lots of flowing cloth. Me trying to figure out exactly. See, I'm like drawing in shit like these triangles here, right?
Right.
I'm getting in here and being like, oh, I should draw this dark triangle, but like, who fucking cares? Like, it's just a piece of a shadow. Or like this thing here, cast shadow. It's like, it's not representing anything structurally on the figure.
Yeah.
And like this line here, I think it's a decent one to plot out because it's constructing the sort of whole upper shoulder area. And so it's blocking out like a pretty substantial part of the overall geometry of the figure. Or like I'm finding this line here, I'm putting this in, and I think like this is useful. So like figuring out where the edge of the chest is and where it goes in the hips and like where like it's finding the edge of the silhouette, probably all good. The same, but like over here we don't have the same level of contrast. I'm just like running around the piece looking for contrast, but I don't think that's the point. And I think the more I do that, the more I'm just going to feel like I'm grinding away, like slowly zeroing in on this thing, pushing it around. But I think I need to go more strategic. I was going pretty strategic with the faces because I was breaking them down into like the geometry a little bit more. So I think I need to do the same thing here if I want to get some better results.
Okay.
And so what I need to do is just like, yeah, instead of just like looking at this as like one big, because I'm looking at this as like an arc almost, right? And I got the apex of that arc off, and it means that like but it means the elbow's in the wrong place. But it's like the extra cloth is adding so much vagueness to the whole thing that like I need to look at this from, if I'm not looking at this from a structural perspective, I'm missing critical things that are going to make it possible for me to like find my way through here later. So I think that's got to be the strat.
Could there be like a way to capture that vagueness as part of it? Or
I think it's like I have this, so there are markers on this figure that are still very very useful.
right?
You capture the vagueness. That's an interesting idea. Maybe later. But like first, I just like I don't want to feel lost, and so I want structurally to feel like I know where things are. So I'm going to be looking for markers that are going to like landmarks that are going to give me a sense on like where the overall structure of the figure is. And we've got some. Like we got the line on the shoulders here. We've got a waistline. Waistlines are awesome. And I want to peg these in and make sure that I've got these tweaked the way I want to. And so we've got a waistline. We've got the other edge of the hips here. It's a little, the clothing's still a little loose, but it's like overall pretty fine. The point where we turn from the hip over into the thigh here is like going to give us a little something. Got the center line running up and down with the seam on the clothes, which is good. And then we've got a collar, which is great. So if we're going to move anything around, we should be moving this shit around. And then we can go and push around little like triangular clothing folds and stuff, because that all lives on top of this like larger structure. I was avoiding this one because I kept seeing the thumbnail and I was like, that's a cool looking image, but it's all of the flowing cloth makes it vague enough that like a lot of the tricks that I had built up were potentially going to bounce off of this study. And I was like, I'll just do a different one today. But now I'm just doing whatever's like first in the folder as I'm uploading them for the Today's the Day channel. And that's leaving me with like having to do the images that I was avoiding before.
That's a good practice.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, it's not that I have like that much trouble just like being proposed like confronting a challenge, but it's like if I have a way of worming out of the challenge, I will.
Yeah. I get you.
Okay. Yeah, it's all more or less in there. And then we have a head that we still get like a vague amount of the structure of the head in here. You can kind of even see like the eye line. And I, like one of the things I keep kind of pushing myself on is to try to like make sure that where the stuff is in the left image is where it is in the right, almost like I've gridded it out. Like if I were to make a grid, just make sure that like, is this the same, is the top of the head the same distance from the left side of the canvas? But ultimately it doesn't matter. Like the thing I really want out of all this is to get, I don't want to like do a study and then discover that like the arms are like 20% too long, or like one arm's really long, or like it's got one flipper for a hand, or like that there's something so structurally out of place that the anatomy looks super fucked up. And like in order to prevent that from happening, I've been trying to treat this like I'm trying to replicate like this pattern very precisely, and looking at like, okay, well, is this elbow this high? Then where is it going to be over here? Does it match perfectly over here? Rather than treat all of this a little bit more relative, which isn't, I mean, that's really not the point. And so I want to be moving away from like treating it all as a really precise set of instructions and try to interpret it a little bit more. But in order to interpret it, I still need to have like a coherent structure that's going to hold together as I'm like going through the study, because I'm going to try to like look at where some of these features are relative to each other. But if I get one of them, the size or position of one of them off by a tremendous amount, I can still end up with something that looks super bad. So, like, I mean, I think once I get this part of it, like, mostly in place, I'm going to try to switch over to not paying that close attention to it. I also was looking back through some of my earlier studies last week, and I was really appreciating the ways in which I was like pushing the stylization on the values, which is, I had a lot of fun with it at the time, and I really liked the way it looks. And then I found myself being a little intimidated to do it over and over again, because I was again trying to like be really close to the original. So we're gonna maybe see if I can, I don't know, I'm not sure where to break out of that for this, because it's like the values are not the big thing in this image. The value range is like pretty limited. What's the name of the artist for today's master study? It's J.C. Leyendecker. All right, so it looks like this collar is kind of drifted a little bit here. Definitely don't want the head to be sitting on the shoulders in a fucked up way. So I'm going to say that lining that up is going to matter. I like the way there's this big mask that kind of comes off the face here. Try to get these larger points. And then it's like we got this weird heart-shaped thing happening on the cuff. um, which if I try to reproduce just based off of like a rough pattern of the values is going to look like a big ass blob and not read so good. It's one of those things that like make me a little nervous here. So I think I'm going to focus instead on the sort of larger context, like where the elbow is coming out here, where this thing is above it. And then I'm going to see if I can break it down geometrically the way I've been doing with the faces a little bit. I wonder, yeah, I wonder if maybe I should just like, instead of trying to follow this value pattern that's like super clamped like this, maybe I build up the structure a little bit. Like if I can like get the structure figured out, like I could actually exaggerate this lighting a little bit and build my own lighting, you know, rather than like reproduce this image. I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. Push them shapes. Oh, push the shapes. Freaks me out hearing that. I don't know. I am maybe I'll do that next time. This one seems like a weird one to try that out on. Push the shapes. Like, yeah, okay. Now I kind of see it, but I'm kind of pressed. I'm feeling pressed today. I'm already a half hour in. I got started late. I got this butting right up against other work, and I am like coming in here out of sorts. So I'm feeling a little intimidated. It's chill, just flow with it. Yeah. It's just art. Why doesn't everyone just chill, right? Like why doesn't everyone just go like, I'm just gonna make whatever, dude. Why are we always freaking out all the time? All right, I'm gonna move over to the to the round brush earlier. All right, if I'm gonna break this down into something a little more planar, what does that look like? Also, I'm pretty sure I can block in this background really fast if I want to, right off the bat. Wanted a little bit, the really like pastel blue. I wanted to go for something that is cool. The pastel blue with the bright red is a really cool look. But I was just feeling more of this like a little more purpley. I don't know do you know the paint terms? Do you know paint names?
I think that one would be like electric blue.
Electric blue? I don't think that's right. Is it like a cerulean blue? There's like a few popular blue tube names. Blues Clues Blue. That one's right.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Creative Caliber. Appreciate the academic knowledge coming in here. It's excellent. My old boss called it blurple. Yeah, I mean that's it. That's what it's called. I went and I had to go spend extra money at Blick to like buy this tube because I was like, there's something going on with my blue where I don't get this kind of shade of blue, and then I discovered that I had the wrong blue tube. I'm like, damn, traditional painting's hard, man. Blurple feels good. Yeah, so yeah, it's like when I think this is what I imagined was blue as a kid, and when I saw this, I was like, that's not blue. That's way too green to be blue. It doesn't count. see. What are we at? 20%? Yeah, sure, that's fine. It's got this like triangular V shape in here, it feels like. Maybe chop into that a little bit. Hey, Vlad, how's it going?
Hello. You got me very excited for the Frazetta thing.
Oh, yeah? Oh, man, yeah, we should talk about that. I talked to Sarah. She's totally going to join us on Friday.
Okay, cool. I'm
Oh,
already working on it.
that was reminding me. You're reminding me now. I was like gonna say something today about the challenge. I don't remember what I was gonna say about it. I'm just gonna say Sarah's gonna be joining us. It's gonna be fucking awesome. So yeah, for anybody who hasn't seen the new challenge this week on the Discord is we're doing a Frank Frazetta tribute. I think I'm gonna do a Frank Frazetta. Oh, that was what I was gonna do. I was gonna do a Frank Frazetta study today. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll make a note or something. Ultramarine, I think it is. Ultramarine it makes way more sense to me than Blurple. So yeah, the weekly challenge prompt. I'm gonna swamp over to the other layout here, but I gotta fix it. I gotta figure out how to make it so that when I switch to the Discord, it actually has the correct. There it is. So the challenge for this week, it looks like a bunch of people have already figured out it's happening, is a tribute to Frank Frazetta, and he's a classic fantasy painter. One of the most iconic fantasy painters of all time. He used to live not far from me down here. He had a house, a vacation home in Boca Grande, which is about I would say a couple hours south of where I'm at, maybe an hour and a half south of where I'm at. And I've been down there. His summer house or his vacation home is now like a sort of a gallery space that his family has set up. And his daughter still lives down there, and then her daughter, Frank's granddaughter, lives actually in the same town as me, and we ended up meeting and becoming friends. And so when Ace was like, "Oh, what about Frank Frazetta as an idea for the thing?" I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be awesome. I love Frank's work, and we're going to be able to have Sarah, who's currently like curating and selling Frank's collection under the Frazetta's Girl brand. She is basically working with Frank's work every single day and developing new stuff based off of his IP. And she's going to come in and take a look at everybody's entries, and she's fucking stoked that we're doing this. So it's going to be a really nice community moment. If you, if you make something for this, you can either do it like make your own thing in the Frank Frazetta style, which would be a pretty fun challenge, I think. Or you can take one of the kind of iconic Frank Frazetta style characters and do it in your own style. And so, and it's open to other mediums too. So if you're a 3D and you want to do like a Frank Frazetta scene in 3D, or even if you do like a cutesy watercolor thing, you could do a cutesy watercolor thing of Death Dealer or whatever. He did a lot of stuff, but he's got some iconic subject matters. It's a wide open prompt. I'm really stoked to see what y'all do with it. And it's gonna be great because it's actually gonna like make it back to the Frazetta people. You're gonna get to see this, and they're stoked to see it too. All right, back to the study. I'm gonna do a Frazetta study tomorrow, because he's one of the most iconic painters in this genre, and doing a study of his work sounds like oh wait, you know what I missed? I didn't block out this hand. I should eat all my vegetables here. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. There's only a few days left. I got this out on Saturday. I got the prompt up on Saturday because I didn't log out. I had a meeting immediately after the Twitch stream, and it ran long on Friday, and so I didn't actually log out. I worked from like 6 a.m. to like 7 p.m. and I was like, I know I said I was going to upload this thing on Friday, but I missed it. So we're already a couple of days in, and there's only a few days left to be able to participate. So if you feel like this is going to be something you want to participate in, I would start sketching shit out today, because then you're going to have a plan for to get this thing done by Friday. All right, how do I want to break this down? I feel like knowing where the knuckles are is always useful to me. Figure out where the knuckles are, and then sort of where's that it kink from the wrist going this direction to like the top of the hand is always a good one to know. And then the thumb kind of like, we have it kind of pulls along the side here, but like the bulk of the thumb is underneath and behind the base of the hand there. So it's really not a matter of like seeing the little sliver island of thumb reaching around the edge of that crease. It's really more useful to imagine it sort of emerging out from behind, because that's where the main bulk of it is happening. Okay. And then we've got this big old, like, poofy pant thing happening here. But knowing where the specific creases, I get so caught up in the specifics of the reference. That's the thing I'm struggling with over and over and over again. The specifics of those folds are really not so important. More of like the general flow, the way in which they're billowing out.
So, what are you planning to do for tomorrow for the study?
For
Is
the
it just going to be a
study?
study,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
are you
yeah.
gonna make a concept?
I'm gonna do a study. I'm gonna do a study of Frank's work. You came in super loud. Have you turned up? No. I'm turning you down. You're like got the best mic in here. Or the loudest. Yeah, I'm gonna pick a Frazetta piece and I'm gonna do a study of it tomorrow. I would do it today if I'd remembered, but I just sort of remembered as we were talking through it. Something about trying to lasso these pieces in feels sometimes hard to me. Like, I want to be able to make something that feels kind of, figure out the geometry of this, but it's like, it's always, I feel like I've got an easier time exploring it with my brush than I do trying to like slice up geometry with the lasso. The lasso is pretty good at a lot of stuff, but like, maybe it's just a muscle memory thing.
So Pete, what do you like most about Frazetta style?
What do I like most about it? It's like, I feel like it creates this really big, mysterious world with like a lot of really minimalist, like kind of abstract, like stuff happening in the composition. Because like he fills, like in a lot of pieces, he fills huge amounts of the canvas with these kind of like flowing abstract shapes that are just like really thin oil paint in the background. And there's something that's like so energetic and evocative about it, but it doesn't like, it's not because he spent a million years going and like painting in a ton of little details and backgrounds. It's like he gives like the sense of the world and the space, but he does it with this incredible efficiency and energy. And so like, you know, he's got these really energetic characters, these really extreme poses, and like crazy amount of dynamism, which is something that I always love in art. But he's doing it with like the least amount of work. And it's not just like, I don't just appreciate from like an efficiency standpoint of somebody who's like looking to save time on painting, but there's something about the kind of minimalism of it that I think actually exaggerates the effectiveness of the way that it hits. You know, it punches, like it hits so hard, and like a big part of that hit is that like there's like only a handful of things that you're ever really focused on in a Frazetta painting. Like it's capturing one single action, one single moment with this like incredible intensity that's cranked all the way up. And like that's something that I've tried to reproduce in my own work sometimes. And then I look over at Frazetta and I'm like, he's going with like a higher intensity and with like fewer moving pieces than me. And I'm like, damn, I need to push it harder. I need to go further with this. It's always really inspiring.
It's lovely to hear. I was talking to a friend yesterday. We were talking about Frazetta,
Mm-hmm.
and I remembered like an old internet article talking about why metal music sucks. One of the arguments was like, you people can't distinguish between Frank Frazetta and William Blake. That offended me on many levels.
William Blake. Let me. All right. I got to pull up William Blake now. This is.
You know who he is.
I'm sure I do, but it's like not immediately.
You probably know him because of Hannibal Lecter, because he's the guy who
Oh,
painted
okay. What? Yeah, I know William Blake work. I've got stuff of his saved. It's like iconic also, but it's not even close to the same style. What the fuck? I'm not even sure what that person's trying to say.
It's about like the high art versus low art argument.
I guess. Yeah. Pfft. Well, high art versus low art. What a waste. Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel there are a number of artists, you know, from that era that I really appreciate their work and I like it. But to me, like some of it is just liking it contextually. You know, I like it that I like some of the aspects about it and I appreciate its place in history, but it's not like something that I look at and like it resonates with me personally. With Frazetta's work, there's a lot of stuff that I look at and I go like, damn, I want to do something that works like that. Like I feel like Frazetta is one of those artists that actually speaks to my style personally. Like sort of the same way that Brahms art does. I mean, but Brahm is like coming like a couple decades later, I think. Because I mean, Frazetta, I think a lot of these date back to the 70s. Well, I think Brahm was doing a lot of his iconic work in the 90s. But there's like a certain, I don't know, there's a certain edge that I like in my fantasy art. And I think that Frazetta pulled it off in like a really elegant way that to me feels kind of elevated. There's something in like both Brahm and in Frazetta that I feel like elevates fantasy art beyond just being like genre art, but like has this elevated edge to it that makes it extra special.
I completely agree.
So we got to maybe do a Brahm challenge one of these days. I mean, I wonder, you know, if he's still alive. I mean, he'd be able to come and check it out if we did that. So I wonder see if we get him on a Discord call.
You had an interview with him.
Yeah.
Years
No,
back,
I mean,
right?
I've met him several times. Like we know each other. So it shouldn't be that hard. I haven't talked to him in several years though. So whenever I haven't talked to someone in a long time, I always feel a little nervous about like I don't want to guarantee like, oh, I can get that person on the phone. Like I'm not sure if we are on like current speaking terms or not. But yeah, we'll see. I might ask him, be like, hey, we're thinking about doing we did a Frank Frazetta challenge and it went really well. You know, think about doing a Brahm challenge. What do you think? And if he like jumps out of his chair and is like, oh my god, I'd be so excited, that'd be so cool. Like, we'll definitely do it.
Is also cool as hell.
Yeah, I love his work. I mean, it's a major influence on me. We were talking a little bit about my art past before, but I think when I pivoted away from anime and towards fantasy painting, Brahm was one of my major influences during that time. Yeah, I want to maybe. I don't think we're going to do 2 tribute challenges back to back. I definitely think we're going to be spreading them out a little bit. So we get next Friday. I got to be thinking throughout the week. You know, what are we going to be doing for the next challenge after this one too? Okay.
It's easy to come up with challenges.
It is. It is. I mean, just a couple of like quick conversational moments on a Discord call, and I think we could bang one out. I want to have good ones, you know. If people are gonna do them, they got to be good challenges. Got to be things people are excited to draw. People need to be excited to like want to participate. So this is one of those moments here in the cuff that is like, this is the sort of thing that I'm trying to do better with on the studies. Where like previously I'd look at these areas of like high concentrated detail and I would immediately start trying to draw in like where all the edges on everything is. And what I really need to be doing consistently, I've started doing this pretty well, but I need to do it consistently, is to look at the whole shape of it and pull that out and then go in later and cut in like the finer parts. Really making sure that I'm respecting the hierarchy here is like the thing I think that's held me back from getting things to be cleaner sooner and to be made more efficiently and like be able to like control my stylization better. Like there's a lot of benefits to being able to do that. Came in a little bright. Pull that down a little bit. Okay, so plan is to get into the round brush sooner. Get some of the, I just want to get a little bit of extra definition going on in the values here, and then immediately start glazing in the color over the top, because like, the thing I did early on that succeeded really well was repeating the way that I apply color on the studies to the way that I do it in my main paintings, where I come in during like a really, really rough value and then bring in the color like on top of that. And then like have the messy values contribute to the process of like, I think I want to bring this shoulder out more. I'm just going to hack it up. Oh. Uh-oh. I discovered a new hotkey. Oh, boy. Yeah, it's a different hotkey in this version of... Okay, there we go. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to get to the rough value and then throw the color on. Because when I do that with my mainline paintings, it introduces a lot of little color aberrations that I end up using to develop my palette. And I've always really liked like the outcome of that. And I realized that when I moved away from it, my colors started to get a little. I started to struggle adding colors after because I was going through and like doing these much more refined values, and then when I went to go add color to it later, I was like, I can't get skin tones to work. I didn't feel like I was in control, and then I felt like I needed to come up with some sort of surreal color solution because honestly, I just wasn't in control of what was happening. And so I've experimented with bringing the color in at an earlier step again, the way I typically do. And I think that that's giving me better results. So I'm going to do that here. I just want to get some I want to subdivide some of these shapes up a little more, build in a couple more gradations. And then with those should be able to capture like a little bit of extra color stuff as I start glazing it in over the top. We've got the model's chest coming through a little bit through the sheer clothing. I think that should probably be respected a little bit before we push too far forward. And then there's this. The overlap of the seam at of the shirt. Got it. Oh shit. As I was like pulling up Discord and stuff, I realized I lost the chat. All right. Jumping Dragon is saying like the process for sculpting and painting is more or less the same, but for some reason 2D makes 0 sense to my brain. Like I need to see what I am doing in 3D else so I get lost. Any tips on getting over that weirdness? Yeah, it's called repetition. I mean, I really think like when it comes to any moment where you just feel like, hey, I academically know how this works, but whenever I try to do it myself, it looks like shit. Like that's everyone who's like done things in theory but never done them in practice. Like everything that's the default like way that things happen when you've learned the theory for things but you haven't actually done them a lot. Like they're just it's going to feel like trying to use a mouse with your left hand or your non-dominant hand. You're just going to feel like you're going to be like I know how to do this. Why is this so fucking hard? I know how to do it. Yeah, because you just haven't done it that much. Like I think this is something that I'm going to keep. This is like a big point I'm going to be pushing on a lot over the next few years. It's like there's a lot out there in our education that comes down to like learning all the theory. And so a lot of the coursework that's out there is like, hey, we're going to drop like 1,000 hours of theory on you. And so you can dig through this over the next like 4 years or whatever and like figure out how you can like incorporate this theory on your own. But honestly, like when it comes to incorporating theory into practice, it always just comes back to like you need to make a lot of whatever that is. I mean, sometimes a work method will be like more natural to somebody. Like, and that's why it's important to like try out different mediums, try out 2D, try out 3D, like try out different art programs, whatever. Like try out different types of paint. But like when it comes back, you can get comfortable just about anything. I think if you just put the hours in on it, like, it's fine to just like stick to the things that come a little more naturally to you. But like if you ever want to like push harder on, if you like know that it's like possible to do something in a particular medium, and it's just not coming naturally, you just need to put more hours in on that medium. I feel like the easier like path is to always be seeking out the secret knowledge, where it's like, what's the trick? What's the trick to jumping from 3D to 2D? It's like the trick is you need to spend a lot of time in Photoshop. And like, if there is a trick to that, I mean, so if we're gonna say that that's like the trick, is like you need to spend a lot of time in Photoshop, like that's not. Let's just agree that's not a given, because like we're not born with like a Photoshop license, like tattooed on the bottom of our heel. It's not like by default we've like all learned Photoshop in school. Like let's just assume that like we need to have like some sort of method for, hey, we're going to spend more time working on work in a particular medium or whatever. And that is what we're doing here right now. Like that is me working on these studies, is like I'm setting aside the same time every single day to go and attempt to push on this thing that I don't have enough hours in, and turning the process of like getting in and doing the study into like the real challenge. And then like the study itself is a little bit like besides the point actually, but the hours that I do it and the dedication to keep coming back and doing it, that's kind of like the thing that's happening. And then along the way I get these little revelations where I realize I need to do stuff slightly different, like, or I want to experiment with different like styles or treatments or whatever. but like the commitment to like turning it into a daily activity, like that's the real thing. Figuring out how you that and like that one's tough because it's like everyone's got different like schedules and different needs. You know, like some people they work for real like jobs on the side, and like you know they're gonna be at work all day, while other people you know they're stay-at-home parents. It's like everyone's got a different sort of like set of challenges when it comes to like pinning down like a work practice. So I can't solve that one for you, but I can tell you for sure that it's like if you put in a bunch of time doing 2D studies, you're gonna get more comfortable with your tablet. You're gonna get more comfortable with your software. The whole thing of like just building in 2D, like doing sculpting with like shape and line instead of polygons is all gonna make tons of sense. All right, this is definitely enough for me to start adding some color into here. Did you get those revelations naturally through your work rather than just through the studies? Yeah, like that's the thing. Is like I'm gonna get to your other question too in a second. I just noticed it. I had all like the learning in my work happened as a matter of like just working through images, like for you know working through my mainline paintings, and not through doing studies. And so like it was just like there were systems that like kept me coming back to go like make more paintings all the time. And like one of them was just like being in a community, an art community on DeviantArt at the time, and just constantly wanting to like have my next piece hit. Why is this? Why? Oh. So like me wanting to like always be posting the next work on DeviantArt on my gallery to see like how many likes and subscribes I would get from like the next post meant that like I was always like looking to like make my next painting and finish my next thing and deliver it. And so like that desire to always be doing better and to always be making something new and putting it out there into like a specific art community is what got me driven to like get good at painting. And you know, all these I was doing the study sort of in line with making those things. Oh, soft light? No, I want hard light. Give me that hard light. Yeah, there we go. See, look at the difference there. The soft light, and this is why I remapped the Control Z so I can quickly flick things on and off. Like, when it comes to like colors where you really care about the saturation and stuff, like a lot of these overlays, you could see how the values are sort of pushing in, like the brighter areas and the darker areas are sort of pushing the boldest, most saturated versions of the color out. Like the hard light actually lets the color like lean on the values enough that it forces them into its gamut and like gives you a ton of saturated colors. So you get these really saturated glazes. That's why I like it so much. It's like one of my favorite tools. I found that like a lot of people don't even use hard light for anything. I don't know what they're doing. But yeah. I was thinking, yeah, push both. I was gonna push both the colors like closer towards purple, and now like this has immediately gotten into this weird bubblegum pink. And as far as like making something that is a little bit eye-catching, I think we're there. So let's see. One of the things I can do to like push the color on this a little bit is to maybe like I've got, thanks to the gradient map, I'm getting some like color variation in based off of the values as well. So I'm getting some temperature variation in here, and like I'm seeing these like in between areas. Like you can see that like highlight is coming in like one shade, shadows coming in another, and then the mid tones are coming in a totally different one. And that's like by contrast what we're getting here with just the hard light. That's what the gradient map is doing for me every time, and that's one of the reasons I keep leaning on this one. By the way, I just uploaded my gradient maps to huckleberry.art. You can go there. There's like free stuff to download. My brushes and my gradients and stuff are all up there for free download. And then you can get added to our mailing list as part of that process. So we'll like let you know when we've got new stuff launching. But you can, I'll usually start off with a gradient map and like pick something I think is going to separate things nicely, and then I'll lay the hard light over top of it. But it's not a linear process. I love going back in here and like figuring out what colors to select to see if any of them do some weird shit. Oh my God, look at that. Talk about hot pink. Now we're getting into like dangerously hot pink territory. And Double John, you were asking earlier, like, what made you drift away from anime and towards fantasy? I don't know. Maybe it was just like a sense that like fantasy was like a more natural thing for me. Oh, that's too weird. I don't think I have a way of building on that. Like, I just kept like, I remember like when I was first learning to draw, I would see something that was like more realistic or more fantasy style, and I'd go like, oh, I can't look at that. I can't try to copy that because it's not me. I'm doing anime. And I thought, that's dumb. Like, if something's speaking to me stylistically, I should consider it rather than be kind of like dogmatic about it. Like, I should just follow my nose and like really pay attention to my preferences rather than worry about whether or not like something is the right for me. The right, like who I am or what, like I don't want to impose on myself like who I am. I want to actually trust my own intuition about my artistic identity. And so yeah, like as like I was just thinking like shit, like Brahm was really, really cool and was speaking to me, that I should pay attention to that and like not just like blow it off because of like this preconception of what I think I like. So yeah,
Pete, I realize you've moved on to the color phase, but I had a question about the grayscale phase.
Sure.
I noticed when you were painting some of the details, you were both selecting like a different value of gray and a different opacity for your brush.
Yeah.
And I was curious how you think about those two things.
It's become all muscle memory. I don't even think about it anymore. I'm not even sure what you're talking about. The way, so there's two ways that I pick color when I'm doing grayscale. Is like sometimes if I know I just need to make something lighter, the D key gives you default swatches, so you can see on the color here. It brings up black and white, and then X swaps the swatches. So if I want to darken something, I hit D, and then if I want to lighten something, I hit DX. And then I will like say, oh, I just want to lighten a little bit, so I'll reach for like lower on the left side of the keyboard. So like if I want to lighten something a little bit, I'll do DX and then maybe like 3, and that'll give me like what the fuck? Did I hit something weird? Yeah, DX3, and it'll give me like 30% lighter, 30% more white, while like D and then 3 will like give me like 30% more dark. But if I want to go like really dark, I might say like D9. I'll end up with 90% if I want to start cutting in some areas. And then when it comes to like, hey, I'm selecting a color off of here, oftentimes that's because I'm blending something. So it's like, I know I just want to get a little tiny bit. If I want like something to be a little tiny bit brighter, I'll select like a lighter gray, and then I'll reach to the left side of the keyboard for like a 3, and then bring it up like that. That's actually kind of good. Or might redo it and just try it even further to the left and do a 2, maybe hit it less area. And like over time, it's like it grows into this muscle memory where like, because I really like the number keys being the opacity control, because it just becomes this tactile thing of like all the way to the left is like a lighter glaze, while over to the right is like going really intense with it. And so sometimes I catch myself saying, okay, all right, I need to like really be, I want to make sure that this is going to look really consistent. So I need to be using paint really thickly. So I'll go between like 80% to 100 and pick the color that I absolutely want and start to carve in areas just with that.
As opposed to like controlling opacity brush.
Yeah, I don't like pressure sensitivity on the brush. because what it leads to is like if you want to do that where you're like, all right, I need to like have a nice thick coat of paint on this. I want it to like come, this is exactly the color I want, and I want it to come into this area. If you have opacity on your pressure control, you need to go in there and mash the thing down and really grind into it to get all the way up to 100% opacity. And like, I never want to have to like put my pressure that hard. It wears on my hand. It feels bad. I feel like I lose control. I want to be able to have a lighter touch overall because I think it gives me better control, and because like it's like way easier. It increases my amount of like painting stamina by a lot. So I always use the pressure control for the size, but that means like if I still want to do any kind of blending or I want a lighter touch on the way I'm spreading the paint around, I need to be able to like modulate it somehow. So I modulate it manually using the number keys. Which
because I have that same kind of thought process, but I haven't figured out a for that. So I'm interested in trying that.
It's not a common way of working, as far as I can tell, but I love it. It's the way I've been painting for basically the entire time I've been painting, and I wouldn't want to switch. There's like a bunch of bad habits I do want to train myself out of, but like using this brush this way is not one of them. It is like, to me, an essential part of my work, and like a really comfortable part of my workflow that I'm going to be defending.
Yeah, because I don't like pressing hard either. Like it just it hurts.
It hurts, and like I think it's one of the things that contributes to people like having health issues, like repetitive stress injuries from digital art, because it is a real problem in this industry of like people having like serious damage and pain, and like having to get surgery and stuff from RSIs. And I do not like that. I don't like that artists are sacrificing their health to try to complete client work. You know, we need to like we need to respect our bodies, and I think that like setting your brush up in a way that's going to prevent you from doing harm to yourself is like an essential part of working.
Because I did something like halfway like that. I have two versions of the brush, one with like a lighter touch and the other just kind of like racked up on the pressure so that even when I push lightly, it still comes in minimum 50%. So I don't have to like push it that much further to full stroke.
Oh, I see.
So that's something that I have right now. But
I started with this
the idea of your method.
I started with this method back when Photoshop had exactly two like controls on the brush. Like you would go to the brush, if you went to the brush tab, like like nowadays we have like all these menus and stuff. The old brush tab in Photoshop 5 and 6, which is what I started with, had just two checkboxes. One of them said size and one of them said opacity. And that controlled whether or not like your pressure sensitivity controlled like size or opacity. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to I was looking at like box art for Capcom games, and I was like, well, it looks like they're using size. Because like the I can see that like there's these like crunchy edges between their brush strokes. And like if they were using opacity, that would blend out. But I like all the crunchy blending that's happening. And what the reality was, it was probably just like somebody using watercolor. But I wanted that like watercolor or like acrylic blended look that I could see in some digital art, and like that was really critical for me to try to replicate that. And so I started using the size flow, but then I realized later on that of course size flow makes sense, because it's like if you have a traditional brush and you press lightly with the brush, you're using just the tip of the brush, and then when you smash it in, then the body of the brush goes in. So I don't know why people are like, what painting materials get more opaque the harder you press, other than a tablet. But like,
Or pencil.
or yeah, a mechanical pencil. But like, even with a pencil, like if you use like if you're an awesome like hipster and you like have like a black wing or whatever, and you sharpen it with like this very special like fancy pencil sharpener, like you're not going to be like smashing the tip in to make it darker.
Mm-hmm.
You're still like, a lot of that's going to be like, I found a lot of people are really sensitive to like making sure that they wear their pencil evenly, and they're actually like rotating it to make sure they can maintain a finer point by like being aware of the way in which the tip shape deforms over the course of its use. And so like pencil to a degree behaves like that, but certainly not with like the really big wide brushes that you see a lot of digital artists use. So the whole thing with like the pressure sensitivity being on the opacity, to me feels like like some weird artifice that's built up entirely out of the digital art scene, and really doesn't have a root in like classical painting tools, which isn't a problem on its own, but it just definitely doesn't feel like it's a necessary thing, right? It doesn't feel like it's an essential part of like painting, is using the pressure sensitivity in that way, because no other painting tools operate under those rules.
There's someone here that asked a question in the Discord chat. Since you mentioned that you used to work with anime, do you have any advice about cell shading or concepts you consider as you move into or away from it?
Cell shading. Yeah, I tried cell shading. I sucked at it. I think that's one of the reasons I went back into painting, was because of like how I had such a hard time figuring out cell shading. Like I just have an easier time with color blending, like slowly, methodically going like, this whole area should be a little darker, this whole area should be a little lighter, this transition needs to go further from head to toe. Like those smaller gradations always made more sense to me mentally. And so trying to figure that out in cell shading, I was always like, oh, I suck at this. But I didn't want to suck at art, so I swapped it up, did something different. Mushin's asking, what's the long-term goal for Huckleberry? Is it going to be an online school with a curriculum and teachers, or something that it is now a community of artists growing together, website serving like more resource database? It's going to be both of those things. Like we're going to be rolling out like the first classes like in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be the first person like doing teaching. I'm going to be doing, the plan is to do like group mentorship, where it's like there's going to be 10 slots available for people to sign up, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than my one-on-one mentorships. And I'm going to be meeting weekly with a group of 10 people, and we're going to be looking over the artwork together, and I'll be giving crits and lectures specifically just to the people who are in that crit group. And then we are going to be like, we're going to work out any kind of technology issues and like, figure out how that kind of like group coaching thing works hands-on. And then I'm going to be like, I've got a list of people I want to work with that are going to be coming in as teachers to open up more classroom space so that people can do more of that. And then the other thing we are talking about and working on a lot is creating a on-demand video library of like courses to study, very much like what you see off of something like Schoolism, where you have like a library of courses that you can kind of explore and study from. That's something that we have been wanting since the beginning to be building, but that it takes a long time to produce, and we're just at the beginning of it still. So I'm going to be working on that over the course of the next. I mean, we want to start producing videos really soon, but the first videos we're going to be producing are all going to be free, and like so a lot of Huckleberry is also going to be like free resources that are available on YouTube, on the website, and it's going to exist in the context of an art community. Like we don't think that like it's like we don't think that there's like a they're just dumping like 1,000 hours of video on a student and then giving him a pat on the butt is like counts as a replacement for a 4-year college program. Like a lot of these master classes that are out there right now, they are mostly just a big video library. Like we've been doing a lot of analysis, like looking at what's out there, and most of what you can get out of online education these days is really just a giant on-demand video library. And we want to have our students have like better results. So in order to do that, I think that the best strategy is to like focus on making sure that, you know, people are actually making art rather than just watching like a really good artist paint. And so we're trying to work on developing tools to like make sure that like people are really working on stuff they're actually focused more on making their own projects and learning from doing rather than building like 1,000-hour video course that people sit back and they watch passively. Like I want it to be a really active experience.
There was a video that I watched recently that I'm going to find for, and I think you may be interested. It was Godot Quest?
Godot Quest? Is that the name of a person? Is that a name of a video game?
It's the name of the channel.
Oh.
They teach programming for video game stuff because the game engine.
Oh, good. The game engine Godot.
Yeah. And so they made a video saying why all their tutorials suck and what we're going to do about it. And I think it might be interesting for. So let me just get that for you.
Yeah, DM that over to me. I'll watch it after the stream today.
It's not too long either. And
that's good.
It feels pretty thought out. So
I think most art tutorials suck. And here's the thing. Honestly, we're gonna make some bad art tutorials too. Like if I'm gonna say that what a bad art tutorial is one that just like describes theory and expects you to like go ahead and figure it out on your own. Like we're gonna do those too. We're gonna do plenty of that. Like,
all right, it's 10 minutes.
I can do 10 minutes.
What's wrong with most Godot tutorials, including?
Yeah, I want to meet people where they are too, because I know a lot of what people are looking for in online education is they have an expectation for, hey, we want you to like show us, we want you to demo how to paint. So can we like, you know, can you talk over while you're like making a painting or like demonstrate how tools work, which is necessary to some degree for sure when it comes to like, hey, I've never picked up Photoshop before, where do I start? Like that requires a demonstration 100%. But like beyond that, like a lot of these courses, I'm looking at courses that have 24 plus hours of video in order to complete the course. And like, I cannot imagine myself sitting down and watching 24 hours of watching somebody else talk about the way in which they paint and like retain any bit of it.
Right.
I could maybe if it was like, if you're in a college class, right? You sit around and you
cap out at 3 hours.
yeah. Like you're in there for 3 hours, right? And like, you're going to watch a lecture to a degree. Some of it's a lecture. But in a lot of art classes, it's also like there's going to be lecture time and then there's going to be a mixture of crits. Let's look over the homework. And then there's also like, let's like have some lab time. You know, teacher's tired. Why don't you work on your projects? Like, and people break down into like, you know, some are watching YouTube videos. Some of them are working on their projects, whatever. Right, but there's like a lot of different sort of things that happen in a college classroom, like in an art course at some place like Ringling. And like, you know, if you take a life drawing class at Ringling, like of the 3 hours you're in class, I would say more than 2 hours of it is you drawing. And if you get a 3 hour online life drawing course, 3 hours of it are you watching a lecture, which is ridiculous.
Mismatch.
Yeah, I've been definitely getting a lot more out of your streams now that I've been doing the daily studies, because I get to the point in the study where I'm struggling with something. Then I watch like the 5 or 10 minutes of your stream where you get through that phase. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Let me go back and do another study.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be both. Like it's not like I'm saying, oh, I figured it out. Like lectures are worthless. The point isn't that lectures are worthless. It's just that lectures are worthless without any context. And like in a traditional classroom environment, there's a context. And in an online classroom environment, there is not. And like, there's like a total lack of respect for that gap in most cases. Like I think I was looking around and like the closest I've found to it being done right, I think is New Masters Academy, because they actually have like a Discord that they try to keep active, and like they have like live coaching, they have live classes, they actually have like a much larger live component than just about anything else that I've seen. But they have developed so much custom like WordPress shit in order to make it all work. And everybody else has created like a really simple website. And like there's usually an assignment or something to do, but there's not like this constant loop of like watching, making, certainly not in a group setting. You know, like part of what is working here right now is the fact that people want to finish a piece so they can post it on the dailies. And they can see that people are seeing them. And they see that other people are out there doing the same thing. And that group community dynamic is the first thing that we're doing for Huckleberry, is also the thing that is like nobody's doing. And like that's a thing that we want to not only like keep going, but something that we want to figure out how to do better all the time. Because I think that's the step everyone's missed. And I think that we can, I've got ideas on how to solve that problem. And if that works, that means that like people are going to be able to like get a real feeling that they like learned a lot from like spending time here. And the majority of that, I mean, as you've seen already, is free. Like you can come and hang out in the Discord, you can watch live streams, you can post on the Dailies channel. All that is going to remain free. I think that it's the best part of what we're doing, and I don't plan on charging for it, but we are going to like allow for like, if you want to have more in-depth relationship with our instructors where you actually have one-on-one time with them, that's like, we need to start charging for people's time. And so those are going to be paid sessions. And like, if we're going to be developing our own video library of lectures to help people with like through the like technical parts of topics, you know, that's going to be on-demand video that's going to be accessible through a subscription, or maybe a la carte also. I don't know. We're not really that set on the business model yet, but it's like all of that. I think that I really think that like the best part of what we're building here is going to ultimately be the free part, but there's like, we're going to be putting a lot of work into the rest of it too. And so like one of the first things we're going to roll out is a $5 a month subscription tier that is basically going to be equivalent to like Twitch sub. We're going to be treating the Twitch subs the same way as these more like direct subscriptions. And that's going to be like, you know, early access to videos, some extra channels available on the Discord. You know, you get like a different colored name on the Discord. Like it's mostly going to be like well-wishing and vanity stuff, more sort of like a Patreon, where it's like it's not really a value proposition, it's more a matter of like, you know, supporting a creator. So that's gonna be rolling out first, is really just like anybody who wants to, like, just the same way everyone has been super generous with the Twitch subs, like we're gonna be doing it through a not like a less platform specific method soon. So anybody who wants to support the project and get extra goodies are going to be able to do it like more directly through a different platform than Twitch. And we're going to try to make sure that like whether you subscribe through Twitch or a server booster or through this other thing, it's all going to be like equivalent. They're like all going to be treated the same, so that like people can you know, feel like if they give money to the project, that it's being respected.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really want to figure out a way to make sure that like even if this thing scales up big, that people still feel like their work's being seen and that they still have like a community around them, and like that is like number one top priority for this whole project.
Well, congratulations. That's the most cool.
I don't know. I think like if we can do that, if we can pull that off, it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I really want to even have like, right now I'm like here on my weekday Twitch streams. This is like, you know, we've got the live on Twitch thing. I think one of the things I want to experiment with soon is to be able to like have there be multiple people have their own like live on Twitch channels on here if they wanted like you know, if we've got other instructors or whatever, or even just affiliates that want to like be a part of what we're making, that they could be making their own Huckleberry streams on Twitch, and like, you know, I'd have mine, but we wouldn't even necessarily need to have just one. Because this, like, already, like, one of the things that I'm really, really proud of with this project so far is that, like, I went away for 3 weeks almost immediately after getting it started because I had a vacation plan. And so I went away for 3 weeks, and, like, the voice chat, like, kept going. Like, the Discord, like, people kept being interested in the Discord and the community without me being there. Which, when I was talking to, like, some of my friends, they're used to, like, you know, like a Patreon or whatever, where if the creator's not in the room, no one cares. But like here so far, like people are in here on the weekends hanging out, and it's like, you guys like my streams, but I'm also not like, Huckleberry is not the Pete Mohrbacher Roadshow. And that, it gives me hope that this thing can actually like grow and scale past like my own personal influence. And it can be actually something bigger than me, which is absolutely the goal. Like, I want to be the guy who makes it, but I do not want everyone to like sit around and wait for me to do something. I want it to be involving more people and have it be a bigger brand than just my own.
Also, Pete, I just wanted to give you a little update on job thing going on with me.
Oh yeah, what do you got?
So, I got my assignments done like exactly in the time that they kind of like partitioned me out for. I got everything done, good quality, feel good about it, and so now I have some time to work on my animation project. And so I've got a shot that I'm working on, got almost all the assets done and painted already. Then I just start putting it into Blender.
Damn, so you're gonna be doing both?
Yeah. Just like, you know, when I'm not doing one, I'm doing the other, sort of.
Yeah.
Because I can't just like split my brain 2 ways in the same day. It's really hard to do that.
Oh my god,
so I'm not
yeah.
gonna fight that battle. I'm just gonna say, you know what? If I'm work, it's work time. My brain is in that, and when it's my project,
I'm the same way. It is so hard for me to task switch. I've built my whole schedule around me being bad at that.
it's helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you just have to like. There's a lot of times where I'm just like spending time wishing, like wish casting that I like would be better at task switching during the day. And I'm like, oh, I'll just like do this, and then in an hour afterwards, I'll do a different thing, and I'll like a different job on a different project. And then it doesn't happen, and I go like, oh, I'm so stupid. I fucked it up again. like as though that had to do, like me knowing perfectly well that I suck at task switching. I like still book myself to do it, and then I look back later after the time's over, and I go like, oh, again, I've screwed it up. Oh, I'm so stupid. and so like I was having this discussion with Dustin this morning because like we're supposed to be recording some like pre-produced videos, right? And I've been really behind on it. And I'm like, he's like, okay, what you should do is if instead of streaming for 3 hours, you should stream for 2 hours, then log off and work on videos for another hour. And I was like, oh, it's a really good idea. But I also like, I get this like sinking feeling in my stomach. I'm like, I'm going to let myself down so bad on this. So I'm going to give it a shot this week. But then I also said, like, I'm going to give it a shot this week. And that sounds like, if that works out, that'd be the best. Because I'd be making videos 5 days a week, and I'd be streaming 5 days a week. It'd be awesome. But if I fuck that up, and there is a decent chance I'm going to fuck it up, I am going to potentially have to switch to a streaming 3 days a week and then working on video production 2 days a week. and just have it be either a work on pre-recorded videos day or I do live video day, and not both on the same day. Because like I just need to respect the fact that like I might not be able to. Maybe not good at both, and I can't fit. I might not be able to mentally fit both of them in the same day, and that like if I can just plan a little better, then I never end up with that situation.
Sounds like my thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like, and it's got to be different for different people, right? Like but like, what are we supposed to do if not like just learn who we are? Like, like this whole art project is so much about learning about ourselves, and so over time, as I've gotten better at organization and like gotten better at like, I mean, I have so many problems with like executive dysfunction. The only way I've gotten past it is by understanding my own limitations and like treating them more seriously. Like all the habits that I've built that have worked have been built on top of this recognition of where I'm like naturally underperforming and like pushing to be better on my own terms rather than like expecting myself to just be a different person.
Oh, speaking of which, when last time you were talking about this, or at least the last time I remember, you were also like doing this app called Obsidian.
Yes.
I have it downloaded. I still haven't installed it.
I've been using it daily, but I also haven't sat down and watched the beginner tutorials. So there's a bunch of key features I have absolutely no idea how to use, and I'm like missing out bad.
Yeah, because I would like to know like what, like how's it supposed to operate as far as your experience goes, as like managing things like a calendar system, like ref over.
I haven't used it much for calendar. Like what I do instead is like I have everything in a Google Calendar, and then my Goo Calendar, and I like sit down in the morning at the beginning of the day, and I make a brand new page on Obsidian that's just that day's date, and there's like a hotkey button that does it. It's just like make a page for today. And I put in there all of my appointments for the day, just because like I would have shit written down in my calendar, and then if my phone wasn't sitting in the right position, I like wouldn't notice that it would blink to say I'm supposed to be in a meeting in 10 minutes, and I would miss the meeting. So like I sit down at the beginning of the day in Obsidian, and I like write down, like I transfer over tasks that didn't make it from the previous day. I plan out any tasks that I need to complete for that day. And then I write down all my calendar appointments in the thing manually, because like I think that me manually going through all the shit that I need to do and like places I need to be and people I need to talk to adds to like, it like puts it into my brain for that day instead of it being something that like an appointment that I put in there from like weeks earlier, and it like decreases the chances that I'm gonna blow it. And so far, so good. I've been able to keep that habit sort of intermittently. I've been really good at like, I have like the I don't want to like dox on my tasks, but like, what I do is I have my stuff ends up in there on the daily. And if this is either super interesting or super boring to everyone's listening, the anything that doesn't get done, I have another note called overflow. And the overflow has been my lifesaver. It's like I set 10 things I'm going to do during the day, and I do 8 of them. And I look at the last 2, and it's like I'm fucking burnt for the day, and like this is a task that's been stressing me out, and like I don't really feel like I know what to do or have the mental capacity to finish it. And so I just, at the end of the day, I take those tasks and I dump them to the overflow page. And then every single day when I go to like build my task list, a lot of it is just like me copying whatever in the overflow and then putting it in the task list for the next day, first time. And so like tasks I don't have to look back on previous tasks from previous days. And like I make sure that the tasks are going to be on that day, but I also like don't let them die on that day. They like, I either need to clear them or I need to like roll them over or like delete them. But I can't just like be like leave them on a list infinitely forever. So that's been really good. And so every single day I'm like looking at this, and if shit gets rolled over in the overflow for like 5 days straight, I like stop and I really ask myself like, do I care about completing this? Does this need to get do I need to ask for help on this, or do I need to like hype myself up? Like, what is going to get me to finish this? And like this morning, one of those, I was talking to Dustin. I was like, Dustin, I need you to do this. I cannot. I've clearly proven myself incapable of like clearing this thing, and like it's not my expertise, and you have better experience on this. Like I need help. Like there have been times where sometimes it's been like a collaborator, and sometimes it's been like a friend that I just go like, can you book this for me, or like can you handle this task for me? Because like I've been trying to do it for a week straight, and it just like it stresses me out and it makes me feel dumb, and I can't clear it. And like that's been my big hack, is like asking for help when I really prove to myself that I need it.
The big hack is having Dustin by your side.
Well, having
That's
people
the
around you
biggest
can trust, who like are good at what they do and like care about the success of what you're working on, that really helps. So, you know, sometimes, you know, if you have people around you that are good, like you can go ahead and just be like, hey, can I take this off my list and put it on your list? And like one of the things I have had problems with over the years is like booking doctor's appointments. Because if I think I've got something wrong with me medically, it stresses me out and I don't want to know the answer, whether it's a good news or bad news. And so I put off making an appointment, which is exactly not what you're supposed to do when you might have something wrong with you physically. So I realized I could never, no matter how many times I put it on my to-do list, I would never book doctor's appointments. So whenever I feel the need to book a doctor's appointment, I just tell my wife, like, can you call the doctor and book an appointment for me? Because she doesn't love doing it. Like she didn't like it one bit, but she won't put it off for 3 months or 6 months, which I can do. I have done. So like I no longer have doctor's appointments that I mean to have drag on for 6 months at a time. If I feel like I need to go to the doctor, it gets booked right away because I don't do it myself. I just don't bother. No, I'm going to fuck it up. I'm going to put it off, and it's like never going to happen. And it's great. Like if I were younger, I would just ask my mom to do it. Like it doesn't matter who it is. Like it could be, you could hire a personal assistant on the internet, right? Like it doesn't matter. It's not, the point isn't like, oh, have people in your life that care about you. Like, yeah, it's a good idea, but like if you really need to do something and you've been letting yourself down like for a month straight, like you either need to like build a day that's entirely dedicated to hyping yourself up, or you need to ask somebody else to do it. And like that could be anyone. That could be a spouse, it could be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be anybody. But if it's not going to be you, it needs to be someone. And if it needs to be you, like I had this problem when I was writing my book. I was like, oh, I need to be the one who writes this thing, and yet I've been going for years without being able to accomplish it. It was like I hired a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like me waking up every day and feeling like I was a total piece of shit, that could never finish the book, and that I'd let a lot of people down and wasted a lot of money and a lot of goodwill. No matter how harsh those feelings got, I never got it done. There's no amount of beating yourself up that ever like takes care of this problem once it starts getting bad.
So what's the correct answer? Should we
It depends on
practice humility?
it. No, it depends on the task. Like for like my book, I need to hire a coach. For a doctor's appointment, I need to ask my wife to do it. For you, I mean, it depends on what you're having trouble with. The question is who, like, if you can get somebody else to do it, like, if it's something that somebody could do, like I need to figure out how to migrate my mailing list off of like Squarespace's proprietary system and into a Google Doc. It's like, do I know somebody who knows how to do that? Is there somebody I'm like working with that can do that kind of task? Can I hire for this on Fiverr? Like Dustin keeps surprising me because he's like, I don't know how to do that, but I know how to hire for this on Fiverr, and I'm like, fuck yeah. I've never pulled that lever before. That's awesome. Like, I would just always, every time I need to learn a new discipline, I would just like try to learn the new discipline, and now it's like, oh, you just hire a guy on the internet. Like you can get somebody, you can just pay someone to handle a bunch of this stuff.
Have you watched Pulp Fiction by Tarantino?
Oh yeah, of course.
So Dustin is basically your Mr. Wolf. He solves problems.
Well, I mean, Dustin and I are partnered up on this project, and like we have really complementary skills. So I realize that like a lot of the stuff that I get confused about or frustrated with that makes me feel dumb, like I can just like oftentimes I can ask him to do it, and it's something he is more comfortable with and has more experience with it. But then there's like a lot of stuff that he's never done before that I have had tons of reps on, and I just like take care of it. And like he gets the same experience for me. And so we both like, this is the reason why we're partnered up on this, is that like we have these complementary skill sets that allow us each to handle different sets of tasks on this thing. Because like I tried to do this, like start like businesses and companies with people back when I was in college, and it was just like whoever was in the room. You're like, you're the marketing person, and you're figuring out production, and like no one has everyone has zero skills, and you just like go around the room handing out hats to people, and it never fucking works. Everyone lets you down. It's just like every group assignment that you've ever had in school, but like there's money at stake, and then everyone loses, right? Like, yeah. But like once you're past those like annoying school years, you can actually choose who's like you're doing a group project with, and you can find people that like you offer something to the group and they offer something to the group. Oh, it's the best. It's like the most grown-up feeling ever. Is being able to like do a group assignment and like know that you are doing something that's like killing it, like that you are going and taking care of work that like is specialized, that you have like special skills in, and you're like amazing people, and that like you will be stuck on something and someone else will swoop in and just fucking crush it, and you go, oh my god. Like it's the Voltron moment of like snapping those different skill sets together is so satisfying.
Oh, Pete. The last gesture drawing session was very successful. A lot of people came up.
I saw Anya was logged in. I got to see it from the outside, but I was like running around doing stuff on Saturday. And
what I mean is that my life got more stable right now, so I'm thinking about expanding the gesture drawing sessions as being 2 per week.
Two a week?
One on Friday and one on Sunday.
Nice. That'd be cool.
And they're different. So on Sunday it's more of a relaxed one, so there is no timer. Everybody just draws for approximately from 7 to 10 minutes each gesture. And on Fridays it's more of an intense one, where it's on timer and the timer increases.
And there's a sniper on the roof that like if you don't draw good, they fucking take you out.
No, they snipe away your fingers. So you gotta be fast about it.
Yeah, you have to complete the life drawing assignment while also evading the troll's attacks. All right, let's see. I'm trying to keep it to 2 hours today, so I am looking for an exit here. I'm pretty happy with the work that I've done so far, but there's bits about it that I just don't think that they read the way that I want. And like me looking at like the chest area, it's like there's a lot of complex shapes in here, and I have them replicated to a degree, but like the value hierarchy is just like way different in mine. And then I have these like splashes of color that aren't really corresponding to different types of shadows. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just a matter of like, I'll make a new layer so I can undo it if I want. Glazing over a little bit just to try to like clean up this hierarchy a bit, get it back to the bigger shapes. And like I'm trying to make sure that like if something's getting light from like a highlight, that it's using the same language, like color temperature language, because right here I've got this highlight of this theme rain down here that's like bright blue, but like all of these folds are all getting like this kind of reflected light from above. And so if I'm going to say that this color here is coming from that light from above, then this should be the same color. They shoot one finger off at a time. Yeah, Kim's saying that they're going to aim straight for the True Omen, first time chatter. He found the Twitch stream.
Yep.
Oh man, I got like sucked in mentally on this today, and I like totally missed the chat. It's one of those habits that I'm trying to get better on all the time here. Is like seeing the text chat.
I wonder when Tanzer is gonna stop playing Baldur's Gate and actually join us. Tell us all about his experiences in ZeniMax.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I chatted with him a little bit. We caught up like last week, and it sounds like things are going really well for him.
Sounds cool. Does he like it there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he likes having a job. It sounds like they've been making it real easy on him. That like they hired him to work on something, but the thing isn't like fully running yet. So like they're like, yeah, just like work on whatever. We'll get you booked on something soon. So he's like showing up to an office and like just hanging around and like working on whatever a little bit. Don't quote me on it.
That sounds cool.
I mean, that was my first week at CCP when I was working there. Was they were like, yeah, we're happy to have you. We're gonna have plenty of work for you, but like, I mean, we didn't have like something ready to put on your desk like day one. So like, get your shit set up and play around with something. Like, make something cool.
I've been to wargaming for 3 weeks already, and basically I have my curator and my team lead, and both of them are on their vacation.
Yeah.
As of today.
The guys who actually make
So-
the work assignments are like out of the office.
I've just managed to. I've completed every test task they had for me. They're like, okay, cool. And now they're both gone, and actual assignments are non-existent.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what to do.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, especially early on. I mean, it's like it's like if there's a whole apparatus to determine who's supposed to be working on what when it comes to a art job in a studio. So if there's any kind of breakdown in there, especially like the first few days or first few weeks, yeah, you can end up with like stretches of time with absolutely no idea what your job's supposed to be. But like, it's not your job to define what your job is. Like when you're independent, when you're an entrepreneur, like part of your job is figuring out what your job is every single day. Like you'd be like, oh, what needs to be done today is we need to be making marketing. Like, are we working on marketing or are we working on like, or are we like making content like for some larger project? Is it like, is there something immediate that needs to get taken care of like right away because it's like critically important? Like knowing what your job is like your problem when you work for yourself. And like at a studio though, it's like either if they don't tell you what to do, then it's just like 5-hour coffee breaks all day. It's awesome. I I liked it.
We've got a question in the Twitch chat.
Twitch chat.
Do
Pete,
you
these
want
stages,
to
do you
voice
try
it?
do you try and black and white check the painting or squinting your eyes helps keep the value changes? I do squint quite a bit. I do a lot of squinting. I don't strain my eyes too bad. Though actually, instead of squinting a lot, that's why I keep the navigator up. I'm looking at like the broader look of the image, like based almost entirely off the navigator.
Isn't the navigator too little for that sort of thing sometimes?
I used to have it bigger on CS6 because all my UI was shrunk down. So I like all the layers and stuff were like stacked up way shorter. So I was able to like keep that. I'm trying out this idea of like having my color picker up all the time. Maybe sticking it over by where my muscle memory is over here with the color picker. Or like I've seen some people have their like brush tab open like 100% of the time. I'm thinking about that also. Like maybe that'll be like a new thing for me is to like have, because I'm used to having tool presets down here with like a small selection of brushes. But now that I'm like experimenting with a larger swath of brushes, I'm thinking about like maybe figuring out a way to have them a little more accessible. Because if I'm going to be because like right now I've been doing this entire thing with one brush. If I'm going to swap between multiple brushes, then I need to like have brushes have easier than like I think this context menu. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. It's something I'm playing around with for the first time in a long time. So I'm testing to see which of my habits are ones that I want to keep and which ones I'm going to replace.
Rowan Gia has his color picker atop of the Photoshop all the times.
Yeah, I noticed Yuming Lee does too, and then he's got like some sort of plugin that I recognize that has like extra color picking options.
I think it's Colorus.
Yeah, I've seen some people in chat have recommended like different like plugins for color picker stuff. And it's one of those things I'm exploring. Like I'm been swapping up a lot, and so like I'm picking at it a little bit at a time. So one of these days that'll be the thing I'm gonna try out, is to see if I want to like play around with new color picker like technology, what the latest color picker technology is.
Know that some artists use swatches that are from cooler to warmer tones.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say no to that if it's a reasonable enough idea. My first inclination is like, oh, swatches, gross. Like, I feel like Photoshop tries to convince you that swatches are a thing when you first open it, and I'm like, no, fuck you, Photoshop. I know better than you. Real people, real men don't use swatches. Gross. Colorus is the best color picker, hands down. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, people have color picker opinions. I didn't even have the color picker up ever. I would just go on, like, click on the swatch over here to pull up this color picker. And that was it. That's been my process for 20 years. Swatches are helpful for prepping print projects and graphic design. Yeah, fellas, is it gay to use swatches? I don't know. I always figured swatches were for graphic designers and communists. So I never used them. And then and I feel like that only reinforces with time. LGN Art is saying, I tried changing it a lot of times and always failed. No, wait. Was it auto-modding communists? We know where Twitch stands on this whole issue.
I have to go, guys.
All right. Well, it was good seeing you, man.
Likewise.
All right. So I'm just wrapping up here. I feel pretty good about the way that oh yeah, definitely feel better about that. And that was the main part. So now that I've gotten like this hand looks like super gross. I'm gonna do this hand, and I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna say that I win at studying for today. And then tomorrow, new techniques. I'm gonna try out some new stuff. Got some ideas. Oh, and I said tomorrow I'm also gonna try to do a Frank Frazetta study. See how those two goals end up either aligning or smashing into each other horribly. We love the claw hand. We all love... Okay, listen. I know we all love the claw hand. But... someday you're going to have to look down and say, claw hand is a thing of a child. And now I'm a man. I'm grown up. I'm no longer going to accept having the claw hand in my composition as acceptable anymore. Put away childish things. All right, so here, I think what I need to do is get a few key shadows in here to establish the hand pose. And then I don't need to put in a lot of new colors for the skin tone here, because I want it to be different than the super saturated. I want it to be a little desaturated because I want it to contrast with the super saturated like cloth here. So it's really just going to be finding like where, like, try to carefully construct some of these highlights and then use the shadows to maybe define a couple of key edges. And we call that a hand. All right. A little bit of the rear of the cuff here. Is it my most successful study of all time? No. I think there's reasons why I was trying to avoid this one the whole time. But I'm happy with it. I'm saving it out, and I'm calling it. You know, I didn't do studies over the weekend, so it's my first study in a few days. And that's it. That's going to be it for the stream today. We're going to get a raid set up over here. It looks like we're doing brush for hire as the raid today. And this is study number 55. I screwed up my Dropbox over the weekend and almost deleted my entire archive. It was awesome. 50 study number 55, and then I'm posting it to the dailies and to my sketchbook. My very lonely sketchbook hasn't been updated in 2 whole days. My standards for how often I should have new images to post on the internet has gotten completely different. And then dailies. Lucky number 55. All right. Oh my God. Inside the on the Discord here, oh, Tony keeps posting all these JoJo sculpts. And I've been seeing like new JoJo sculpts just about every day on here. It's crazy. And then Anya's getting a lot of love on here. She's got these new. She's been trying to do daily finished paintings. Like we were kicking around ideas, and she was kicking around like the possibility of maybe having a new painting for sale every single day at her website, just as like an experiment. Oh, this is a cool ass study. Very cool. I was avoiding using this image, and then I'm so happy I did, because now we get all of the different cat studies. All the weird like cat trying to escape studies have been a pleasure to check out. And Ace is now posting all the ink stuff too. Man, these look great. I haven't been in here recently, and it's like I feel like I'd go away for 24 hours, and there's like so much art. Oh, look at how creamy. Every time I see it, Silight's like rendering style, so creamy looking. And it's like the flowy, simplified, creamy look of this is exactly the thing that like I want a little more of in my painting, and that's the thing maybe I was struggling with today. I'm gonna maybe look back on this a little bit and see maybe I can bump it up for next time. But it's cool to see all you guys hooking up, like doing your own dailies and posting them on the daily channel. Don't forget about your sketchbooks. It's a great way for you to be able to like catalog your progress as you're constantly getting better. You can just go make your own sketchbook. You don't need to be subscribed or anything to do it. And oh my God, you guys are doing it! You're like, everyone's posting new stuff in here. I'm gonna have to go check this out. We're gonna go through a big run on it on Friday again and see everything you guys have been posting. It is so cool to see the incredible amount of art that's coming through this Discord on a daily basis. Makes my heart grow 3 sizes. All right, let's get this raid going, and then I'm gonna log out. The raid. Brush for hire. Raid has been created. I'm going to click on his thing and bring it up. And I'm going to hang out there in the chat a little bit after the raid's over. So, thanks you guys. It was good to see y'all. I'll see you on the other side.